Welcome to the world of exploration. Welcome to the world of learning. Let's start exploring. Let's start learning. This is your very own educator, Sukriti Joshi ma'am, your very own educator, teacher, philosopher, guide, mentor, guru, one and all, and a preacher too. Yeah. So today in today's session I would be talking about indigo, right? So which is chapter number 5 from your Flamingo book, and this is for the 12 CBSE class 12 board CBSE examination that we are preparing, and our preparation will be on this very one-stop destination, that is English Gurukul, the edifice of education, where education begins and nurtures. So herein we form beautiful bonds and connections, and we come together in order to grow and learn. All right. Having said that, let's move on. So now we'll see what are the topics that we are going to cover in today's session, right? So in today's session, basically, we are going to cover certain topics such as, so first and foremost, you should know the name of the writer, the name of the author, right? So Louis Fisher is the writer. Louis Fisher is the author of Indigo, right? Indigo. Now, what do you mean by indigo? It's a dye. It's a blue color, or it's a blue dye, right? So now we get to see about the author, we get to see about the plot, then we will have a look at the theme and then the characters, followed by setting and title, and last but not the least would be our summary, right? So this is the hierarchy in which we are going to proceed and in which we are going to move forward, right? So as you can see, we are going to be talking about one of our leaders, one of our pioneers, who is Gandhiji. So who we refer to as Gandhiji over here. So basically, uh you get to see that how his life and messages for the world are given, and how Louis Fisher actually, you know, puts into the brackets of that quintessential words what his life is all about, right? And then we get to see this mind map sort of a thing, right? So we get to see that how Louis Fisher was born in 1896 in Philadelphia, right? Then he was we get to see that how he was a luxuriant writer. He wrote many famous books on Gandhiji and Lenin. Though Fisher was a Jewish American, yet he was moved by Gandhiji's teachings of spiritualism and non-violence, right? He was a great observer of Gandhiji's work, taught who fought for the oppressed and the downtrodden people, the people who were suffering at the hands of the oppressor, right? How he was a great observer of Gandhiji's work, who fought for the oppressed and the downtrodden Indians under British rule. And we get to see that how Louis Fisher was actually, in reality, he was a Jewish American, yet he was moved by Gandhiji's teachings. That means how Indian philosophy actually touched him. That's, we can call it like, I have named it touchstone. So how it actually touched the um heart, and how he was moved by the philosophies or the teachings of spirituality or spiritualism and non-violence, that is ahimsa, right? Then, and that we have studied in social studies as well, when we were like I have studied in my social studies when I was a kid, right? So in his work Indigo, Fisher has presented the political struggle of Gandhiji. So in this work, in this piece of art, he has actually tried to delineate, he has actually tried to portray the in his work Indigo, he has actually tried to delineate or portray what? What has he tried to delineate or portray? He has tried to delineate or portray. Fisher has presented the political struggle of Gandhiji. So we are talking about the political struggle of Gandhiji, right? The struggle that he actually was going through and how he acted as a kind of a leader, right? And we get to see about the political struggle, right? All right. Then, give me a moment. I'll just erase this just a second. Clear? Then, moving on, Louis Fisher. So the story Indigo, written by Louis Fisher, actually narrates Gandhiji's struggle for the poor peasants of Champaran, right? So the story Indigo is written by Louis Fisher, which actually narrates Gandhiji's struggle for the poor peasants, as I have already mentioned, as I have already spoken about, right? For the poor peasants, for the downtrodden people, for the poor people, for the poverty-stricken people, for the people who actually, wanted some kind of help, right? So he acted as a kind of a masiha or leader over there. Then the main theme of this chapter, of the chapter Indigo by Lou Fisher, is how effective leadership can overcome any problem, as shown by Mahatma Gandhi ji in oppressed um, in securing justice for the oppressed in Champaran through convincing arguments and negotiation. So the main theme of the chapter, what is the main theme of the chapter over here? We get to see that the main theme of the chapter, uh, that is Indigo by Louis Fisher, is how effective leadership, which I've spoken before as well, that how leadership can overcome any problem, right? How leadership can overcome any problem, as shown by Mahatma Gandhi ji in securing justice for oppressed in Champaran through convincing arguments and negotiation, right? Then we move on. Important words. So now, what are the important words? All of you must be familiar with this. All of you must be familiar with this, right? Be the change you want to see in the world. So this is asserted by Mahatma Gandhi ji. So again, we can see that how we are talking about leadership, right? How we are talking about leadership. So again, be the change you want to see in the world. So I am trying my level best to be the change that I want to see in the world, right? So I have that vision in my mind that as a teacher, as a philosopher, as a guide, as a mentor, as a preacher, uh, as a guru, as a guru, I just want to be the voice of the youth. I just want to be the voice of mine. I just want to be the voice of each and every person who, you know, is afraid of speaking, which includes me as well sometimes, right? So be the change you want to see in the world. So always be the change that you really desire, that this should have been like this, or this should have been, this scenario should have been like this. Sometimes people keep on criticizing about the acts or the policy, about the policies that are introduced by the government. So you have, if you would have been there, try working hard. How can you do that? By studying about the ideologies, by studying about the uh, great people, by studying about yourself, your individual self, and finding out who you really are, right? Then we come on to, just a second, then we come on to convention. and agreement, right? I'll erase this. Then we come on to convention and agreement, right? So, convention, agreement, delegates, so these are the meanings. So basically, convention means agreement, right? Delegates are the representatives. For example, if I am a delegate of of Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, which I was there as a delegate in MUN. I remember in my school, and in Ukeri, I was the ambassador representing the entire of my uh college, in representing the entire college in my DU, right? Representing, in fact, the Delhi University itself. So, uh, if I talk about peasant, peasant refers to the small farmers. So, small farmers were referred to as peasants. Now, when we talk about emaciated, it basically means thin. To when we say emaciated, that means that someone is poor, somebody's poverty stricken. That is why somebody is hungry. Somebody is not, given proper kind of nutrition or proper kind of diet. So that person might be emaciated. That means that person might be um very slim, or not slim. Slim is a positive word. We have to have negative word associated with it, because we are talking about hunger. How India was filled with people who were hungry at that time. It could be about hungry about the justice. It could be about it. So we can actually have include pun on the word hunger, because we can see that hunger can be for the rights of the people which they deserve, or hunger could be, or thirst could be about the uh, food, or hunger could be about the power, or hunger could be about the justice, right? So just write down. So hunger could be, it could even talk about hunger, right? All right. So I'll just move. Champaran, a place in Bihar. So Champaran is a place in Bihar, right? So as you can see this map, I'll just show you the map. As you can see, uh, Champaran is over here, right? Just give me a moment. So this is Champaran, this area. This is Champaran, right? So you have been given Nagpur, Champaran, and Amritsar. So Champaran is over here. This is your Champaran. For now, remember Champaran. Otherwise, these two are also very, very important. Other states will also be important. For now, you just need to remember this. Clear? All right. So then we have sharecroppers. So Kanpur. Now, as you can see, can you see the difference between the spelling of Kanpur right now and Kanpur? At that time, so Kanpur was spelled as Cawnpore, and now the spelling is different, right? So we get to see that with the change of government, and with the change of, you know, with the government, how everything changes, how the names also change. Even now, how the names have been changed, right? So each and every government comes, and after 5 years, when they're elected, they are, they keep on changing, they keep on modifying as per their needs, as per what they think is right. So sharecroppers were what who were sharecroppers? They were a kind of a tenant farmer who gives a part of each crop as rent. So they used to give a part of each crop as a rent, as a kind of a rent, right? So a tenant or a farmer who gives a part of each crop as rent. Resolute means to be determined, that, oh, you should be resolute in your pursuit of hard work, right? You should be resolute, you should be determined, right? Committed, you should be committed to you. That means you should be dedicated towards your, for example, I am dedicated towards my teachings. You should be learning, you should be dedicated towards your learning, right? So therefore teaching learning process will take place efficiently. Accompanying means go somewhere with someone as a companion or escort. So accompanied means to go somewhere with someone as companion or escort. So herein we will be talking about how someone would be accompanying Gandhiji, right? And how he would be a peasant, a normal peasant, but Gandhiji was a leader. He acted as a kind of a spokesperson for thousands and millions and for thousands of people, right? Kanpur now. Kanpur is actually a British name for the city of Kanpur, right? Khan, it's not Kanpur, it's Kanpur, right? And earlier it was Kanpur, right? So British name for the city of Kanpur. Then we have tenacity, that means determination. So don't we say when students misbehave that you have that tenacity? That means over here it has a positive meaning. When we say that, then it has a negative connotation. But in English, as we are familiar with, each and every word has several meanings attached to it. Then we have haunches, that means thighs. Then boarded, get on, enter. Yeoman is a man who cultivates a small piece of land. So someone who, yeoman, yeoman, you can remember that like that. So a man who cultivates a small piece of land. Pestered means to bother someone or to harass, not to harass, but to bother. Bother would be a better word. Permitted means to allow, right? Allowed. That you are permitted to give this exam, that you are permitted to write this exam, right? Now, complete chapter summary. Now, we come on to the summary portion. This story describes Gandhiji's struggle for the poor peasants of Champaran. In those days, most of arable land in the Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. The chief commercial crop was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 15% of their indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. This was done by long-term contract. The British didn't need to the British didn't need the indigo crop anymore when Germany had developed synthetic indigo. Just to release the peasants from the 15% agreement, they demanded compensation. Some illiterate peasants agreed, but others refused. One of the sharecroppers named Rajkumar Shukla met Gandhiji in this regard and compelled him to visit the Champaran because of this long-term injustice of landlords. Rajkumar Shukla's efforts were enterprising and persistent. Now we come back to, yeah. So over here, the story describes Gandhiji's struggle for this we have spoken before as well, right? For the poor peasants of Champaran, right? Struggle, right? We are talking about the struggle. In those days, most of the arable land in the Champaran district was divided into large estates. So we are familiar with how the system was, right? It was divided into large estate owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. So Indian tenants, actually Indian peasants, were the poor farmers, the poor peasants who worked on that land, and Britishers were the ones colonized who were our colonizers. They were the ones who actually owned everything, and they were acting as the masters, and they had made Indians their slaves. Although it was our territory, although it was our country, but they were the ones who owned this. And Indian tenants worked on uh, those lands. Then the chief commercial crop was indigo. So we get to see that how the chief commercial crop was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 15% of their indigo. Now we get to see that how the chief crop was indigo and how the landlords actually compelled, how actually when we talk about the landlords compelled, they had compelled all the tenants to plant 15% of their indigo, and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. So that they're supposed to, not earlier there used to be other crops or other plants or other trees which were, native to the place, which were native to you, which were meant for that particular. For example, in Delhi, specific trees were meant for Gujarat, specific plants were made or specific trees were grown. But when they came, everything, the scenario changed. They wanted indigo to be grown because a lot of they could gain a lot of profit from it, right? And therefore they used to have a long-term contract. The British didn't need the indigo crop anymore. And when synthetic indigo was grown and it was developed in Germany, then the British didn't need the indigo crop anymore. Germany had developed synthetic indigo. Just to release the peasants from the 15% agreement, they demanded compensation. So now they demanded compensation, right? Some illiterate peasants, although we get to see that some uneducated, some illiterate peasants agreed, but others refused. One of the sharecroppers named Rajkumar Shukla, the picture has been given, right, so that it becomes convenient for you guys out there in order to know who is actually your leader. So he actually acted as a leader because he was the one who made all the efforts, who had gone with Gandhiji from one place. Insert he had actually gone in, to convince, to persuade Gandhiji that how and what kind of situation they are all in, these poor peasants are in, right? So uh So one of the sharecroppers named Rajkumar Shukla met Gandhiji in this regard and compelled him, and therefore he forced Gandhiji to visit Champaran because of this long-term injustice of landlords. So there was this long-term injustice because they used to bind people into long-term contracts. So this was the long-term injustice, right? Which was done by landlords. Then Rajkumar Shukla's efforts were Rajkumar Shukla's efforts were enterprising and persistent. So he was very persistent in his efforts. He was enterprising too at the same point of time. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. From there, Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad. So we get to see that how then the two of them, who Rajkumar Shukla, right, uh, and Gandhiji, both of them, they boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. From there, Shukla led him to who? Rajkumar Shukla led to uh, to the house of lawyer named Rajendra Prasad. Rajendra Prasad, who was Rajendra Prasad? Can anybody tell me? You all should be able to answer that. Rajendra Prasad, please comment in the comment section below. I want to know from you guys. Have you revised it? How well versed are you in your GK? You should be definitely knowing this fact. Mahatma Gandhi's humble and simple attire made the servants mistook him as another poor peasant. So they, mistook Gandhiji as a poor peasant because they were thinking that obviously, Gandhi, because he was dressed in such a simple manner, in such a simple dhoti, at that time, as you can see in the image, how he used to dress up. So he used to have a dhoti kind of a thing, the real Indian attire, and the identity that he actually made for himself. So he was very simple. He used to keep things very simple. So seeing that, they thought that he's also poor, he's also one of the peasants, also one of the yeomen, right? Yeoman is another word for peasants, mind it. So he surveyed before taking, and he was humble too. So he surveyed before taking any vital step in order to get those peasants justice. It was a time when British government punished those who in any condition gave shelter to national leaders or protesters. So he was acting as a kind of a leader, and national leader, or a kind of a protester, because he was protesting against the discrimination, or against the injustice that was taking place, right? So he surveyed before taking any vital step in order to get those peasants justice. It was the time when British government punished those, and it was that time um it was that era. It was in that era when uh, Britishers could give any sort of punishment to anyone, because they were acting as the master. So they thought that they were having the rights. So Gandhiji's arrival and the nature of his mission spread like a wildfire. So his arrival and his mission spread like a wildfire. Everybody knew what his mission was. So many lawyers and peasant groups came in large numbers to support, and many lawyers, he actually gathered many lawyers stating and saying that, you should be ashamed of yourself. These people are, foreigners. These people are not our own. um they are exploiting the farmers, they are exploiting the peasants, they are exploiting the human. But you people are Indians, you people belong to this belong to this soil, you people belong to this earth, you people belong to this land. So which is a beautiful land, which is our motherland, which is India, right? So you can't uh, you people are doing this kind of uh, क्या कहते हैं, लूटना और खसूटना अपने ही देश में. So the lawyers accepted the fact that, where was I? The lawyers accepted the fact that their charges were high, and for a poor peasant, it will be irksome. So lawyers accepted the fact that their charges were very very high, and for a poor peasant, it will be uh, irksome, that they won't be able to pay the kind of money that they actually wanted. So at this point, at this moment, what Gandhiji did, he rebuked. That means he scolded them for collecting big fee, for collecting big amounts. कि यार हमसे तुम कलेक्ट करोगे अमाउंट? हाँ, तुम इंडियन हो, हम इंडियन है, तुम इसी धरती के, इसी सॉइल के, इसी सॉइल के जन्मे हुए हो, हम भी इसी सॉइल के जन्मे हुए हैं. तुम्हें शर्म नहीं आती? वो तो बाहर वाले हैं, पर तुम तो घर वाले हो, तुम तो इंडियन हो, तुम्हें तो शर्म आनी चाहिए. So he scolded them like that, right? So Gandhiji rebuked, he basically scolded them for collecting big fee, for collecting big amount from the sharecroppers. He stressed on counseling, as this would give the peasants enough confidence to fight their fear. He managed to get justice after a year-long battle for the peasants. So he stressed on counseling, as this would give the peasants enough confidence to fight their fear. So he stressed that people should be counseled. Why? Because this would give them confidence to fight with their phobia, or to fight with their fear, whatever fear or phobia they might be having. So he managed to get justice after a year-long battle for the peasants, right? So after a year-long battle for the peasants, he was able to get justice. He also made arrangements for education, health, and hygiene for the families of the poor peasants. He gave them the lesson of self reliance. Now, this is very important. He gave them the lesson of self reliance, right? Uh, this is very important. He gave them the lesson of self reliance, that you should be self reliant, that Indians, as Indians, we should be self reliant. Why should we be self reliant? Because we should be self, we shouldn't be dependent on the products that are made outside. We should be developing our own products, uh, and therefore we should be self-reliant. So he also made arrangements for the education, for health, and for hygiene for the families of the poor peasants. So it was so these were the factors. So education was kept into the picture, health. He even gave medicines, he prescribed medicines to the women, and hygiene also, that how sanitary conditions should be for the families, and self-reliance was the major theme, right? That how we should be self-dependent, we should not be dependent on anyone else, rather we should have our own indigenous products. Clear? Gandhiji went to the British official commissioner. Gandhiji, wait a second. Gandhiji went to British official commissioner who asked him to leave Tirhut. Gandhiji disobeyed, went to Motihari, the capital of Champaran, where a vast multitude greeted him, continued his investigations. So now we get to see that how Gandhiji went to the British official commissioner who asked him to leave Tirhut. So he asked him to leave Tirhut, and Gandhiji disobeyed. So he said, "No, I will not leave Tirhut. I will not leave this place. Definitely, I'm going to stay," right? So he went to Motihari, the capital. So Motihari is the capital of Champaran. You should know that, right? So Motihari is the capital of Champaran, right? Um, where a vast multitude greeted him, and he continued his investigations. He was mal visited maltreated, wherein he actually visited maltreated villagers. Stopped, but he was even stopped by the police superintendent, but he still disobeyed the order. Motihari black peasants, black Motihari black with peasants, spontaneous demonstrations, Gandhiji released without bail, civil disobedience triumphed. Now, herein we are talking about civil disobedience, right? Civil disobedience. That again we have studied in social science, social studies, about the civil disobedience movement, about the um about all these movements, right? So Gandhiji agreed to 25% refund by the landowners. It symbolized the surrender of the prestige. So he actually said that it is not vital, it is not pivotal for them to refund everything, but what is pivotal, what is important, what is quintessential, क्या सबसे ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है, वो यह बात है कि they are ready to surrender a part of their prestige. That means they are ready to give at least some amount. They're ready to, they have bowed down, you know, so they have surrendered. So that is like giving their crown, like a part of their crown, right? Clear? So Gandhiji worked hard towards social economic reforms, alleviated their distress, aided by his wife Mahadev Desai, Narhari Parekh. So you can see the picture, right? Here, Gandhiji taught a lessons of self-reliance by not seeking help of an Englishman. by not seeking help of an Englishman, Mr. Andrews. So Mr. Andrews was also there, but he did not. He actually taught all the Indians a lesson that you should not, even if a person, even if a Britisher, like, we are talking about Britishers over here, we are talking about our colonizers, how how they uh approached, and how they acted in how they treated Indians so badly, uh, and how they had this agonistic kind of an attitude towards Indians, especially towards Indians. So Gandhiji taught a lesson that how, even if some people are good, even if some people are amiable, they are amicable, be it Britishers, if they are ready to help you, if they show the pro-social behavior, that is showing helpful behavior, right? So doesn't matter, you have to be self-reliant, you have to have your own thoughts, you have to generate your own thoughts, you have to be self-independent, and you have to be confident in yourself, and just yeah not seek help from anyone who is an outsider, basically, right? Although he might be very good, or she might be very good, in this case we are talking about Mr. Andrews. He was very good, he was ready to help them, and they could have won, but still he fought, although they could not get the entire thing back, but at least we could see that how they won, how Indians won. How? Because they were ready to give a part or portion of their wealth to Indians, right? Which meant that they had lost the battle at some point of time, right? Then we come on to the plot. So in tomorrow's session, we are going to cover the plot in today's session. This was it from my end. So this is Sukriti Joshi ma'am, and I hope you liked my lecture. I hope you loved my lecture, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, please keep on liking my channel. Please keep on loving my channel. Please keep on subscribing. And please share my channel to all your friends, lovely friends, right? And yeah, I hope you do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I hope you do like my channel, and you should, and you will definitely. All right, this is Sukriti Yoshima. I'm signing off. Bye bye. Till then, let's all keep learning. Till then, let's all keep growing. Thank you. With that, I'll wrap up this session.